Welcome aboard, everyone. You're listening to Up and Foiling, the sailing podcast where we ride the highs and lows of the America's Cup and Sail GP. I'm Ricky, your sailing fan, and with me are my two co-hosts who are still figuring out which one is the mainsail and which one is the jib.
Hi guys, I am Theo, an old-time Formula One fan, and I'm just getting to know the world of sailboat racing, and hopefully by the end of the season I will get to know where the start box is.
And hi guys, I'm Big House, passionate about sailing on big and slow cruising yachts, but still wondering why these fast boats are flying. And I'm loving so much these races.
Together, we're here to chat about the most thrilling moments on the water, with zero technical jargon and 100% fun. So let's get up and foiling!
Alright.
This week on the Up and Foiling podcast, it's Big House and myself, Ricky, while we wish our friend Theo to have a great time off. So luckily, we won't have to answer his tricky questions, right, Big House?
Yeah, that's right. Theo always asks some tricky ones. So let's dive into it. What went on this last week's in Barcelona waters, Ricky?
Yeah, so it was time for the final of the Louis Vuitton Cup. And it's been a thrilling contest with both of the teams battling fiercely, I must say. They were really evenly matched. And yeah, so how did they get to this final? Lunarossa had to go through American Magic in the semifinals. It was a very close contest. Also, in that occasions, the boats were very similar. We saw a lot of overtakes, very close racing. Whereas INEOS had a fairly simpler path. They only had to, they had to beat Alinghi, but apart from that, they had a fairly easier contest, and maybe we expected INEOS not to be as race ready. And maybe it showed in the first few races, with Lunarossa having the upper hand when it was fighting in close quarters, but then probably INEOS got up to speed and had the upper hand in the second half of the final. We'll get to it further on, so maybe Big House, why don't you give us a recap of the conditions during the 11 race series?
Yeah, sure. I mean, at the beginning, we had just a light breeze blowing in Barcelona area with wind speed right above the minimum limit for racing. So we had like 6.5 knots, and it was basically forcing us to wait an entire afternoon to get sufficient wind to start the race again. So we had then from race 3 and 4, it gradually increased the wind speed until we reached 21 knots of wind. And this was pretty high. We had this high wind that was challenging, both in terms of speed and control for the teams. But it also showed an image to us about the reliability of the two boats, where we have seen like Lunarossa, unfortunately, seeming a little bit fragile compared to the superb Britannia with zero technical issues on the course. During race 3, Lunarossa actually faced problems with their mainsail that were properly fixed, but forced them to lose a race. And during race 7, when the wind was blowing really fast, they had the problems with their jib, and the track area was basically falling apart. And we have seen from the onboard cameras a lot of debris, and we were pretty scared about the boat just jumping down into the water, and people from the maintenance team were forced to get on board to fix the problem with some carbon fiber sheets, and they had properly fixed it in just few minutes. Okay. With these intense conditions, tactical decisions have been extremely critical in the following races, reaching boat speeds beyond 50 knots, with Lunarossa reaching a record of 55 knots. But it has been amazing to watch these races with high speeds at home.
Yeah, indeed, because this up end of conditions was really something I think the teams were not expecting to see in Barcelona. I think the range they designed the boats for was 10 to 14 knots, whereas we saw going 20 and beyond, right?
Yeah,
When they measure the wind before the races, they have an average, right? We discussed that in a few episodes ago, and they take this average, and if it's below 20 knots, then they can go and race. But I think it was often the case that they measured and it was below, so they started racing, but then during the races there were gusts that were stronger than 20 knots. So pushing these boats right to the limit, and the Barcelona sea state, right? There's often a lot of wave. It's very big, rough sea in Barcelona, and it was just amazing to see these rocket ships flying around everywhere so fast. The barways, so when you go from going upwind to downwind, were really amazing. As you said, they really go up to 55 knots. Really impressive to see.
it was strange to see a lot of different conditions between like day we had very low winds and the day after uh, strong gusts above 21 knots. It was super interesting to see these differences in the wind conditions.
Yeah, you need to design the boat for everything in the end. Yeah, so as you said, the matchup was very even during the first races up to race 8. The score was 4-4. And although Lunarossa abandoned 2 races because of the technical issues you mentioned, the English managed to keep it tight. And it was really credits to them for keeping it so close. So every day managing to get a win and losing one. So it was 1-1, 2-2, 3-3, 4-4. We were wondering when this deadlock would break, right? And it was with race 9 and 10 that INEOS really managed to get 2 wins in a row, putting themselves at 6-4 and really in a match point position for the final showdown. So yeah, how did the INEOS execute so well during these last races? I think it was mainly, well, as often is the case in the America's Cup, due to the starts. They weren't really winning the starts so much, but they were just a few meters ahead of Lunarossa, or positioned a little bit better. That gave them the upper hand ultimately. A few meters are really so important with these boats. It's really amazing how 10, 20 meters can easily turn into 70 with good boat positioning.
Yeah, and good strategy also. Like basically, if you're in front, you're able to manage the strategy of the whole race. So yeah, that's very
Yeah,
important to start.
you can force the other boat to be on a side that they don't want to be on, and you can get the best side. We've seen the right side very strong, the side that's closer to the city of Barcelona. It looks at there's a lot more wind over there. So yeah, boats were often defending the right side of the course, and it's hard then to pass. There were a few instances where the boats got closer, and then the gaps opened back up again. So yeah, there was some close racing. We didn't see so many overtakes, but yeah, it was a very close series. I think the boats really there's nothing between them in terms of pace.
It's fun fact time with our segment Sailing Salt, the fact you can sprinkle like salt in your sailing discussions. What is the challenger of records?
The challenger of records in the America's Cup is the yacht club that officially challenges the reigning champion, so the defender. Together, the defender and the challenger of records work on the deed of gift. This is the document that is the foundation of the America's Cup, and it is crucial for the negotiation of the event's rules, and it ensures a fair competition. The challenger of records works with the defender to set up the race format, the boat specifications, and other key details. So in this case, for our 2024 America's Cup, the challenger of records is INEOS Britannia, and it challenges the defender, being Emirates Team New Zealand.
Alright.
Why don't you tell us about the last race, Big House?
Yeah, the finale, I mean, the last race So a super intense back and forth between the two boats. As you said, Ricky, they were so close in all the final races, but especially in the final, Lunarossa was trying to push and to be extremely close to INEOS, and but despite this Lunarossa attempt to split the race downwind, trying to take the advantage of a very good performance of the boat downwind, and to find the optimal place on the race course in terms of wind conditions. Actually, INEOS defended its lead with precise guides and superior positioning, winning at the end the final race by just 17 seconds, and that's really really amazing and intense. I mean, not they didn't have in all the races they didn't have so much advantage in the end. Were just a couple of seconds, but also in the end, these 17 seconds have been extremely rewarding for the British and extremely sad for the Italians in the end.
Yeah, a lot of disappointing hearts in Italy, for sure. The battles were intense, the boats were so close. I think what differentiated the two were maybe Lunarossa had a slight advantage upwind, but what really made the difference was the downwind for INEOS.
Yeah.
Every maneuver INEOS made downwind, their jives, looked really so fast. Like their minimum speed, I think, was 2 or 3 knots faster, like every time. Looking at the knots on top of the boats on the live coverage, you could see like every maneuver, the minimum speed of Lunarossa was always a couple of knots slower than the one of INEOS, so they were really performing these maneuvers better probably. And yeah, as you said, a lot of tactical battles. It was a great showdown between two great helms, Spithill and Ben Ainsley. Of course, they were aided by their other helms, and so yeah, and we saw this big battle that unfolded a bit as we expected it to unfold. However, in character-wise, they showed like a bit different traits than what we're used to. We're used to seeing Spithill to be super aggressive. He's called a bit a pit bull. So he's known for his aggressive tactics. And Ben Ainsley is usually the one who has the cool-headed response that really beats you with cool strategy, like really precise responses. However, in this exchange, in this final series, I think the roles were a little bit inverted between the two. I think we saw Ben pushing a lot more the Italians and Jimmy responding coolly with the help of Gecko, of course. So we saw quite a lot of pushing and searching for close racing from Ben Ainsley. And yeah, Lunarossa responding quite well. But in the end, I think we must admit that they lost a lot of starts. So this we have to give credit to INEOS.
INEOS Britannia's emotional victory marked a historic moment for British sailing, with Sir Ben Ainsley and the crew celebrating this hard-fought win. It has been 60 years since Great Britain last challenged the defenders for the America's Cup.
On the other side of the port, it was tears for Lunarossa that demonstrated good sportsmanship as they re-entered the port and accepted the defeat. What was really incredible was the support they found once they got back into the port, seeing those images of all that crowd gathered in the port to celebrate Lunarossa, even if they had been defeated, was truly amazing. And of course, there was a huge crowd waiting for INEOS as well.
Looking ahead, INEOS has still the biggest hurdle. They are now the challenger with the task of beating Emirates Team New Zealand. And it will be a tough job to do, right, Ricky?
For sure. The Kiwis will have been watching the finals very closely, studying every single move of INEOS. And at the same time, their performance team will have been working on the boat continuously to improve the performance of these flying machines. We expect them to be in full shape and slick for the America's Cup final. Rumor has it that when they drop the boat in September, they may have damaged those foils, so they may be using not the latest design. However, the Kiwis are known not to show their full hand, and are known to keep something in the bag. So we'll have to wait and see. Let us know your questions in the comments and who you think will win the final of the America's Cup. Will it return home or will it stay down under? Follow us to find out, and remember, there is no second.
All right.
Remember to follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcast or YouTube, and please comment to let us know which topic you would like to be covered more in our podcast.